Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this very important webinar on how to grow your innovation business in Asia via Hong Kong. I am Dimitri Horiadis. I am the Innovation Technology Officer for the Americas for Invest Hong Kong, and I will be moderating the panel this afternoon for our very important speakers. First, I'd like to introduce you to our Director of the Economic Trade Office here in New York, which is Ms. Candy Nip. Candy, over to you.
Thank you, Dimitris. Hello, friends from the Greater Philadelphia region and other parts of the United States, and friends and colleagues from Hong Kong. Welcome to the Hong Kong session of the Philly Tech Week. It is my great pleasure to join this forum today to discuss the latest innovation and technology landscape in Hong Kong. And most importantly, how you could make use of Hong Kong to grow your innovation business in Asia. Hong Kong is known for being the research cluster, strategic business platform, and technology marketplace in Asia. According to the Global Innovation Index 2020, our INT sector, together with that of Shenzhen and Guangzhou, is ranked the second largest technology cluster in the world. Over 3,000 entrepreneurs called Hong Kong home for their startup last year. Hong Kong is strategically located at the heart of Asia, and it is the gateway to mainland China. Under the one country, two systems framework, we enjoy the dual advantages of being a part of China while maintaining our global outlook and institutional strengths. Our top-notch universities, robust intellectual property regime, extensive international connections, and well-established financial markets, we are well-positioned to be the engine driving INT developments in mainland China and the rest of Asia. The Hong Kong Special Administrative Region government is fully committed to supporting INT growth. So far, we have invested nearly $13 billion in four focus areas, namely biotechnology, artificial intelligence, smart city, and fintech. For example, we're establishing two research clusters respectively on healthcare and on AI and robotics technologies. We are also working to enhance our INT infrastructure, including the development of the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park at the Hong Kong-Shenzhen border. This 87-hectare world-class innovation hub will allow research and development companies from all around the world to leverage the competitive advantage of both cities and accelerate access to the mainland markets. Today, we are bringing together the real movers and shakers of the INT industry in Hong Kong. They include representatives from the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park, our major tech incubator, the Hong Kong Applied Science and Technology Research Institute, our largest applied technology R&D institute, and Invest Hong Kong, our investment agency. These industry experts will share with you the latest developments and business opportunities in Hong Kong. I hope you will find today's forum a fruitful one. Thank you very much. I will pass the floor back to Dimitris.
Thank you very much, Candy, for those wonderful opening remarks and for making time to be here today. With that, in the interest of time, I would like to introduce our first speaker, which will be Dr. Weng-Li Yun, who is the Associate Director for the Biomedical Technology Cluster of the Hong Kong Science Technology Park. Previously, Dr. Yun was with a company called Athenex, which expanded into Hong Kong, and she was the first employee who spearheaded the R&D operations there. The company became very successful and did an IPO on the NASDAQ in 2017. Before that, Dr. Yoon was the lead scientist for GSK and led on launches of several products for the company globally. She has a PhD from the School of Pharmacy at the University College of London and an MBA from Imperial College in the UK. She's a biotech leader with more than 20 years of international experience in both startups and multinational corporations. And with that, over to you, Dr. Yoon.
Thank you very much, Dimitris, and thank you for the kind invitation to this very exciting event. I shall share my screen now. Can everyone see that? I would like to introduce to you myself. I'm Ring Lee, and I work for the Hong Kong Science Park. So the Hong Kong Science Park Technology Corporation is actually a statutory body of the Hong Kong government. And our key role is to grow the innovation by ecosystem in Hong Kong. And the topic that I'll be presenting to all of you is how to grow your biomedical innovation business in Asia via Hong Kong. Or rather, in your minds, perhaps I'll reframe this question: biotech, why in Hong Kong? Because I'm aware that when most people think about Hong Kong, they would think about the sprawling skyscrapers, perhaps the good food, and Hong Kong as a financial center. But here I'd like to present to you that Hong Kong actually is the place to do biotech. And actually, we published a paper in Nature about 2 years ago to cast the spotlight in Hong Kong as a biotech center. To build a vibrant R&D ecosystem, we need certain fundamentals. And we believe that Hong Kong actually has those fundamentals. So firstly, for example, we need a strong capital market. And as you all may know, the Hong Kong Stock Exchange introduced the Chapter 18A listing route, which allow pre-revenue listing companies, such as biotech companies, to list. So as of October 2020 last year, there's been more than 21 biotech companies that have listed via this route, and they have raised more than 50 billion Hong Kong dollars, which is about 8 billion US dollars. And even in Science Park, we have a homegrown company within Science Park called Sinomapt, which listed via this route in 2019, November, and they actually raised about 160 million US dollars. And as Candy pointed out, Hong Kong has a lot of world-class universities, which is producing talents to support our R&D business, especially in biotech. And we have a very much a can-do innovation culture. And Science Park is building a lot of infrastructure that I'll speak more to afterwards. And as you know, Hong Kong is part of the Greater Bay Area. And this provides access, almost seamless access, to a GDP of $1.6 trillion and 66 million people. And finally, there's been a very strong policy support by the Hong Kong government to promote R&D. In the Hong Kong government budget of 2018 to 2019, the government actually allocated 50 billion Hong Kong dollars to promote R&D, and 10 billion Hong Kong dollars of which actually came to Hong Kong Science Park to support our tenants and our companies to grow and be successful. Currently, in the Hong Kong Science Park, we have more than 160 global biomedical companies and incubators. And these are supported by more than 1,000 researchers from 12 countries. So as you can see, we are very international. And the spectrum of technology that actually we have is actually very broad. We have food tech, we have diagnostic companies, medical devices, pharmaceutics, which includes biologics, small molecules. We have regenerative medicine companies, stem cell, CAR-Ts, and TCM. And casting our sort of memory to maybe 3 years ago, we had only about 20 to 30 companies. And now we have more than 160. So we have grown more than fivefold. So it shows that the fundamentals are working in our favor. And at Science Park, we are very much aware that for a company to grow from concept to a product, one has to get through the valley of death. And for translational research for biomedical companies, this valley of death is much deeper and longer, and there could be several of them. So Hong Kong Science Park does not really see ourselves as a landlord that is just leasing out lab space, office space. But we actually see ourselves as your partner to help you de-risk and facilitate R&D. So for example, we know that talent is very critical to the R&D business, especially in biomedical. Hence, we have a very strong talent acquisition support. We have various funding support for companies. The first being the Research Talent Hub, which in essence help to fund 4 free headcounts for 3 years. So for example, if you wish to hire an employee with a PhD, we could fund an employee up to 32,000 Hong Kong dollars per month. And if the employee actually has a master's, it'll be 21,000 Hong Kong dollars per month. And if it's a bachelor's degree, $18,000. Again, this is 4 free headcounts for 3 years. And also, if you wish to hire interns, we have also some allocated funding from them. And a new scheme that we have is actually a talent support in terms of accommodation allowance. So we know that living in Hong Kong can be quite expensive. So for the overseas employees of the Hong Kong Science Park companies, we can actually subsidize 10,000 Hong Kong dollars per employee for up to 12 months for 10 employees. So this is actually a very generous talent support for companies in Hong Kong and Science Park. And again, we would want our companies and our employees in Science Park to be comfortable. So this is our recently built on-site accommodation building called the Inner Cell. So the building was just constructed and completed last month, and the application just went live. So if you could see here, Science Park is right here, and this building is just right at its doorstep. So it really creates, a very much a work, live, play culture for the overseas people who are working in Science Park. And next, Hong Kong Science Park also has its own capital that we can invest in our companies. So as I said, we are a subsidiary company organization, hence we cannot be the lead investor. So for every company that we wish to invest in, we'd actually have an investment team that would help to find co-investors to actually invest in the same company. And we have been very successful in this. For every dollar that we invest, we have been able to find co-investors to raise $10. And in total, Science Park companies have raised more than 30 billion Hong Kong dollars since 2015. And we have 67 private co-investors that are working with us to put capital into the Science Park companies. And we also have an IncuBio program. And this is mainly focused on university spin-offs and small companies. And for this program, we fund up to 6 million Hong Kong dollars. And this funding actually pays for the company to be set up, for the company to buy consumables, to hire people, to conduct business development, and also Science Park will provide actually a free space for R&D to be conducted within Science Park. And we are very much a one-stop focus service. We provide professional coaching, we help with fundraising, and these companies will also have access to our shared facilities, which I will talk a bit more to later. So this is the core facilities. We have a communal lab. It's housed in an area of 8,700 square feet. And we run this on a profit basis. And the key is that we know that it's very expensive to buy this key equipment. And so Science Park will actually buy them, and companies can use it on a pay-per-use basis. And this will hopefully minimize the capex expenditure of our companies. And we also have a healthcare device innovation hub. And this is essentially a co-working space where companies can rent offices, small office with 1 or 2 desks, or even rent a floating desk. Again, this is on a flexible lease basis, and there's even a prototype product testing room for medical devices companies. And coming soon is a medical device testing lab. As we know, for medical devices, you have to go through quite a lot of regulatory compliance before they can actually get to the market. and particularly in the verification of a validation test. Currently, there isn't a lab that allows companies to do that. And at the moment, companies will have to send their products to mainland China. So we are building this device testing lab on site in Science Park to allow companies to do it on site. And this we think will be ready, we are planning to be ready by next year. And also to cater for companies who wish to do clinical trials or even before that regulatory submission, we have a funding program coming up soon. And this actually, on a matching basis, will pay for companies who are wishing to do, for example, IND enabling studies or GLP tox studies, and also to apply for regulatory approval in FDA, NMPA, or the EMA. And there'll also be a separate pot of funding for companies to do clinical trials as well. And this hopefully will actually catalyze companies from a preclinical stage to a clinical stage company. And one point to add is to qualify to list on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange in the Chapter 18A, the company actually has to complete the phase 1 study and to be qualified to proceed to phase 2. So we hope that this program will actually help companies to actually go to that stage. And the next step is actually our infrastructure program. So as you can see, it's a very comprehensive infrastructure program, helping a company from bench to bedside. Our biobank and biomedical informatics platform is already launched, and this allows for biosamples repository and also data platform for data sharing. And we are building a drug safety center. This is the first accredited animal testing lab in Hong Kong. And companies can actually do their preclinical tests within Science Park. And finally, we're also building a pilot batch, GMP pilot batch for biologics and cell processing. So in essence, we mentioned that we're actually a partner for all our companies in Science Park. We help to de-risk and facilitate R&D. And we have all these programs, that hopefully will help our partner companies to traverse this valley of death. And before I sign off, I just want to say that once our companies have a product, they would have very good and seamless access to the Greater Bay Area, where, as I said, it's a population of more than 66 million. And from the latest data, the GDP is now 1.6 trillion US dollars. So here, I'll end my presentation. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to let me know. Thank you very much. And I'll pass the floor back to Dimitris now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yoon, for that very informative presentation on the Hong Kong Science Technology Park, which again is one of the major hubs in Hong Kong and basically the nucleus of the research industry in Hong Kong. So very important. Thank you very much again. And with that, I want to introduce our next speaker, who is Dr. Tao Yu. She's the director of the data analytics team for the Hong Kong Applied Science and Technology Research Institute, also known as ASTRI. She focuses on cybersecurity, cryptography, and trusted technologies. Today, she'll be speaking about AI and fintech applications. And then over the years, she's had various big data and AI solution projects that she's worked on. She not only focuses on fintech, but also on smart cities, intelligent manufacturing, and digital marketing. Over the last 20 years, she's done R&D in distributed systems, including cloud computing and big data analytics. She was a member of the Hong Kong Guangdong ICT Expert Committee from 2016 to 2018. She has a PhD from the University of California, Irvine. And she's been published in multiple papers through international conferences and journals. And with that, I'll hand it over to Dr. Yu to give us her presentation on ASTRI.
Hello.
Yes, you're on now.
Yeah, let me share my screen first. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, it looks good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the introduction. So hello, everyone. I'm Tao Yu from Hong Kong Applied Science and Technology Research Institute. Thanks for the invitation of Invest Hong Kong. Today, I'm glad to introduce some of our work in leveraging artificial intelligence to promote the development of the financial technology to serve in different fintech applications. So let me briefly introduce our company first. So S3 was founded by Hong Kong government in 2000 with a mission of enhancing Hong Kong's competitiveness in technology-based industry through applied research. We are the largest technology R&D center in Hong Kong with more than 500 researchers, professionals, and achieved hundreds of patents and multiple awards. We are collaborating with various industry partners to bring the world-class technology to life, to make impact to economy and society. So we are working in the 5 core research areas, like the smart city, financial technology, intelligent manufacturing, digital health, and application application integrated circuits. So today I'm going to cover our work in the financial technologies part. So as one of the leading international financial centers, Hong Kong is home of many financial institutions. Along with the rapid technological development, more and more banks, investment companies, and regulatory authorities are leveraging innovative technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, cybersecurity, and data science to facilitate their daily work and drive their businesses. S3 has done quite a lot of work in these areas, such as the chatbot, high-rate OCR, the alternative credit assessment, the trade finance blockchain, the threat analytics, knowledge graph, and the financial document analysis. So here is an example about applying the artificial intelligence in financial document analysis for regulatory compliances. So there are lots of the documents that need to be processed in the financial institutions for the purpose of the compliance checking or the disclosure requirements. They are mostly unstructured or semi-structured in different formats, such as PDF, Word, PPT, Excel, and usually each document contains the table, text, and images. So the manual process to read the document and generate reports, and also doing the compliance checking is slow and error-prone. This kind of the labor-intensive work can be accelerated by artificial intelligence to make the whole process automate, streamlined, efficient, and effective. So S3's financial document analysis framework provides a deep learning-based end-to-end solution to achieve this purpose. Using the company transaction disclosure document as an example, the related transaction information such as the purchase, vendor, date, and amount need to be extracted from the more than 10 pages PDF document, as shown in the left side in the slides. And the AI engine will do the structure analysis first to extract the corresponding information from the different places and the tables in the document. Then it will do the semantic understanding to extract the related entities, relations, and events. Then the knowledge can be generated. Finally, the generated knowledge will be organized into the summary table and checked against the listing rules of the Hong Kong Exchange enforcement to identify any kinds of the potential non-compliance issues. The whole process are automatic, streamlined, which can be finished within 1 minute. Besides doing the regulatory compliance checking against Hong Kong Exchange listing rules, it can also perform the cross-reference information validation for the consistent checking. The extracted knowledge can be also recorded into the enterprise knowledge graph as the key actions of the companies. So here, S3 also built an enterprise knowledge graph for the financial risk management The graph is built on top of the public data set and covers all the Hong Kong listed companies and related entities, such as board members, shareholders, senior management, and the related news with identified risk categories. So this graph can be integrated with the company internal data, for example, the transaction data, to provide a holistic view of the enterprises for dynamic risk management. We use AI technology to monitor and analyze on this knowledge graph and to build a risk event map. Through the graph analytics and pattern discovery, we can discover the hidden information, such as hidden associations, circular ownership, the company cluster, abnormal capital flow, and other potential risks to support different applications like the credit assessment, anti-money laundering, crime investigations, and others. We also built the AI chatbot, which is specialized in mixed language understanding of the Cantonese, English, and Mandarin, and to help the local banks provide better customer services. The handwritten Chinese optical character recognition engine can help financial institutions hugely improve the operational efficiency by automatically read and extract information from the diversified handwritten forms. Our system can auto-correct mistakes and can achieve up to the 97% of the accuracy. We have also built lots of the blockchain applications for the different domains. For example, the Hong Kong First Property Purchase blockchain provides an all-in-one support service to link the different service providers to be in the property purchase ecosystem to save the time and the resources for all the parties for the fast and the convenient user experiences. Astri also helps the MA to Hong Kong Money Authority to write a comprehensive white paper that proposes a general framework of the alternative credit scoring for the SMEs that will be used as a guideline for the banks to adopt. The objective of this white paper is to promote the credit scoring uses machine learning on the alternative data. For example, for the post data, for the utility data, and for the telecom data. With this alternative score, SMEs with limited financial credit can also get loans from banks to support their businesses. In Astri, our mission is to promote the development of the technologies in Hong Kong, to nurture Hong Kong's tech talents, and to make Hong Kong more intelligent, connected, and trustworthy. So this is my talk today. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Dr. Yu. That was a very good presentation on Astri, which is a very important research body of Hong Kong. I have visited your facilities, and I can say I was very impressed with the level of technology that is going on there, and very good opportunity for any US company or North American company that is looking to take advantage of the talent and the know-how of Hong Kong. Thank you so much for presenting. And now we'll go into our final presentation, which is Ms. Wendy Chow. And Ms. Chow is the head of ICT at Invest Hong Kong. And for those who don't know, Invest Hong Kong is the government department that aims to spearhead foreign direct investment into the city of Hong Kong. Ms. Chow has been with the organization since 2001. Ms. Chow received her BA and MBA degree from the University of Hong Kong, and also has an MA and an MA from the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. Before 2001, she worked in the International Market Development division of a large telecommunication company. And with that, I'll hand it over to Ms. Wendy Chow.
Thank you, Dimitri. So our friends from Science Park, as well as SG, they have covered the biomedical sector, as well as the AI focusing on fintech. Now for my part, I would like to focus more on the AI part, and then with an emphasis on big data as well as robotics. and also highlight some of the business opportunities for Hong Kong. Now, there's a saying that the world is our market, and Hong Kong is relevant to you if you are considering exploring the Asia market. Now, location, location, location. We know that this is one of the golden rules for making any investment decision. And location is one of the enduring competitive advantage of Hong Kong in terms of its coverage of the Asia market. Now, within 5 hours flight, it covers China, Southeast Asia, North Asia, as well as India. And last month, Bloomberg predicted that China would account for around 20% of the global GDP growth in the coming 5 years through up to 2026. Now you aim to make profit after you have expanded to Asia. So then you will look into the tax system. Now the beauty of the Hong Kong tax system is that it is very affordable, and more importantly, it is very simple. Now here is a comparison of the 3 popular destinations when you think about expanding to Asia: mainland China, Singapore, and Hong Kong. And now this slide gives you a very good overview of the differences of these 3 economies, okay? So very low tax in Hong Kong, and also there's no sales tax, no capital gains tax, and no withholding tax. So basically, we just try to make your life simple, okay? So that you can focus on making profit. Now, that's why if we try to look at the past few years, well, the presence of the overseas companies with office in Hong Kong has been steadily increasing, okay? The number tells the story. And more importantly, I would like to highlight the fact that US is a very important market for us. It ranked number 3. Mainland China is number 1, Japan number 2, US is number 3. Now people talk about Hong Kong and Singapore competing with one another, but actually Singapore is our 5th major source of overseas companies setting up in Hong Kong. So we compete, but we also collaborate with one another. Now here is the slide about the key building blocks to support innovation and technology development in Hong Kong. Now I would like to focus very much on the central column, because I think for innovation and technology, we know that the factor that make it or break it is talent. Okay, so everybody is running after, chasing after talent. And then Hong Kong, now remember that actually we're a very, very tiny city with a population of 7.48 million. But then according to the latest QS World University ranking, Hong Kong, 4 of our universities in Hong Kong, they are listed as the top 50. Now, when you try to compare Hong Kong, this small city, with, let's say, Japan or Korea. Now, both Japan and Korea, they have less than 4 of the universities being on the top 50, okay? So that is a major talent pool for companies which would like to expand to Hong Kong in order to cover the Asian market. Now, another thing is that we embrace talent from all over the world. So we have a very business-friendly immigration policy. And then Invest Hong Kong, one of our support services is also to facilitate your work visa application to make it smoother. Now, if you're going to do R&D in Hong Kong, you've got many partners. You have already met 2 of them. I mean, Science Park, which provides with a lot of support, HKSTP, which will actually work hand in hand with you. Now, there are other research and development partners that you can work together with in Hong Kong, covering different arenas, okay? Now, for the government policy and incentives, we have different funding schemes to support your R&D activities in Hong Kong, whether we're talking about tax reduction or actually you can apply for the enterprise support scheme up to 10 million Hong Kong dollars, or you can enjoy the R&D cash rebate. Now, I won't go into details, but if you would like to know more about the details of all this funding support scheme, always talk to Dimitri, okay? He is the must-know personnel in the US market for us. Now for the AI robotics, now I would like to share with you that Hong Kong Science Park is your very, very important partner if you plan to do R&D in Hong Kong and in the AI robotics arena, because they've got 2 major infrastructural facilities. One is more for the software, that is, well, they provide you with consultation, okay? So this is the software part, and they also provide you with the hardware facilities like the Fast Lab, and also the fab lab. So you don't have to invest in buying all this equipment, but you just, plug and play when you are a talent of Science Park. So to make good use of all the facilities, if you are planning to do R&D in Hong Kong Science Park. Now, then I would like to talk about the application. What about the application of AI robotics in Hong Kong? Now, you see that it's widely deployed in different sectors. Now, like Tammy, actually, I think it is a robot from, well, you may say that it's an Israel company, or you may say that it's a US company. But anyway, now this Timmy robot, it is deployed in Hong Kong in the education sector, as well as I just learned about it in a media report that, well, it is also being deployed in the elderly center. You know that we all are embracing this challenging problem of aging, okay? In Hong Kong, we have the longest lifespan, whether it is women or whether it is men. So I think for women, it is 87 years old. For men, it is 81 years old. So we have a lot of the elderly centers. And I understand that for TAMI, some of the elderly centers, they also deploy TAMI to help their workers to provide like the physiotherapy treatment and so on, and then keep the elderly companion, especially in the pandemic. They cannot receive visitors, so they really are very much on their own. So all these robots, very humanized robot, can help to keep companion for the elderly. And then for the logistics sector, now you see that it is very common. I think you can see it in many American warehouses. It is also deployed in Hong Kong, and especially, nowadays we have e-commerce really doing very well, and that means a lot of work for the warehouse, and then even with the use of all these robots. It is also deployed for the medical sector, like surgery robot, or you can see that at the bottom right-hand corner, the robotic arms in the medical care services in the Hong Kong Polytechnic. And in the pandemic, I think we have been seeing all the robots running around in the shopping mall, in our residential area, and then in the MTR compartment doing all the deep cleaning work. And then another slide over here, a picture is the SoftBank humanoid robot. It is serving the customers in the grocery store. So now what about, I have covered Hong Kong Science Park to provide very good software and hardware facilities for those who are for the AI robotics. Now for the AI big data sector, Hong Kong Science Park is once again your very good friend. Okay, so early this year, actually this last December, they launched the Data Technology Hub. So this is to support all those sectors which are doing a lot of data analytics. Now it is equipped with the high performance computing and GPU parallel computing platform. So you can do all your ML or deep learning data analytics by leveraging on their facilities. Now, another one is more like, I would say that it's more like a software part of it is the data studio. So you can actually tap on the open data that is available within this data studio to do your product development. And then for the Hong Kong government and the Hong Kong Hospital Authority, we try to take the lead to set up the data analytics platform. And then we hope that the private sector, they will also follow the example and then deploy more and more the data analytics platform so that they can generate insight and then improve their productivity as well as profitability. Now, when we talk about big data, I think it is a very complicated topic because it also involves privacy, security, and so on. Now, that's why for the Hong Kong part, we have been working, the private sector have been working on promoting cross-border data flow. And there are two major initiatives, the Institute of the Big Data Governance. So this is formed by the private sector, and then the founding members include companies like Google, Microsoft, Alipay, AliCloud, and so on. So they try to come up with a standard so that companies can sort of upgrade the quality of the data in terms of data governance. This would pave the way for cross-border data transfer, okay? And then just last month, we have this GBA, International Infotech Industry Association, being set up. And then it's one of the major priority is also to address the cross-border data flow, which will certainly help the economic development of the big data sector. Oh, sorry. Now here, I would like to share with you a code from KPMG according to the research. Now, AI is widely adopted by Hong Kong through consumer products, services, and apps. 66% of the residents, they are engaged with AI embedded services or technology. And 82% of the businesses believe AI can drive efficiency and optimization. So the business community is ready to invest and ready to deploy the big data and AI. Now here, Hong Kong is a financial center, so you can see that the big data opportunities, the financial sector, the banking, the insurtech, they would be your key target if you're thinking about setting up in Hong Kong. Now, 80%, according to the FinTech News published last August, 80% of the banks, they plan to increase their investment in AI within 5 years. I will have more update, concrete news to share with you in a slide later. Insurtech is also very important. We know that Hong Kong, we've already got some of those virtual insurance company. Actually, I mean, going back to the banking sector, we issue a couple of the virtual bank license last year, and then they also provide a lot of business opportunities for my client in the ICT sector because they help the virtual bank to build up the infrastructure and also build up the apps and so on. Now for the retail supply chain, we know that e-commerce has been doing extremely well, and this also accelerate the retail companies to do the O2O model, okay, which also provide more business opportunities to the big data service provider. Now here we have more numbers, okay. Now according to the American Chamber of Commerce, they issued this survey early this year in January. So according to the survey, over half, now we're talking about 55% of the companies in Hong Kong, they plan to increase their budget on digital transformation. And the key areas will be AI, machine learning, IoT, and intelligent automation. So we hope that this gives you some idea about where the business opportunities are. And as I promised, now here are some more concrete news fresh from the print house. Now last month, April, now Standard Chartered Hong Kong, they announced that they would invest Hong Kong 200 million to renovate 70 branches in Hong Kong to make them more digital, okay? Now, digital branch is one of the selling point of the banks these days. And then the CEO of City Hong Kong and Macau also announced this March that they would increase their spending on digital technology by 28%, and they will hire more people. Now, apart from the financial sector, you see that for the supply chain, BIOMEDICAL is one of the global supply chain player. So they form a new company, LFX, which serve as a new incubation, investment, and operation platform, which will focus on helping other companies to transform their global retail and supply chain and logistics as well. So e-commerce, I think it is happening over the world. The e-commerce sales has been going up because people, I mean, we dine out much less than before. So we order food, we order grocery, we just, I mean, place order on buying clothes, cosmetics online. So that's why it is also a very good area where you can see business opportunities. Now here are some of the names that you feel familiar because they come from America. Of course, when we talk about data, big data, you think about Microsoft, Google, IBM, and so on. But all these have been in Hong Kong for many years. For example, IBM has been in Hong Kong for more than half a century. Okay, so I'd like to share with you names that are relatively younger, so you feel more familiar with, okay, that you can sort of identify with. Now, this is my last slide. I like this very much. Now, this is a Hong Kong robotic company called RISE Robotics, okay? But then the linkage between Hong Kong and the US is that the founder, Victor Lee, actually, he studied in Norfolk in the United States, okay, with a degree in product design. That's why now, in terms of functionality, I don't think it is for super, okay, it is very outstanding. But in terms of the product design, I like this so much because it makes the robot much more humanized. Okay, you feel more familiar with sort of an affinity with it because the eyes can blink and it can close its eyes. So I watched one of the video about it. Is that now when you are a visitor to Hong Kong, you have to go for when you are returning to Hong Kong, you have to go for the quarantine, and then you have to stay in a hotel for 14 days and now 21 days. You feel you're very much on your own. And then now in the past, the food is delivered to your room, and then after the food is delivered outside your room, and after some time you open the door, you pick up the food, and you feel that you're very much on your own, almost like left alone. Nobody want to talk to you or in touch with you. But then some of the hotels, they will use this, they call it the rice robotics. They will deliver the food to you, and then when you open the door, you see this very cute robot blinking eyes at you, and then you press the lid and then it open, you take your food. You feel you're still connected to the outside world, not just being left alone in your hotel room. So this rice robot is also deployed by SoftBank in Japan, in the 7-Eleven shops, where they can deliver the food and snack to the employees of SoftBank. So you see that it is really very nice. Okay, now I see whether I have time to do that. Now, let's see if it works. I hope so.